Now on CoastTV News.
Rehoboth Beach protest, people gathering at the nation's summer capital, a part of hundreds of protests nationwide. A race for open space, raising money for the 4th Street Preserve in Lewis.
And it's been a rather cloudy Saturday and mild depending upon where you are, especially away from the coast. We've seen some fog along Ocean City, but tracking a pretty mild night ahead of a cold front. It's going to bring a round of rain and then a big chill. We're talking about the return of winter-like temperatures to the peninsula. I'll let you know how low those temperatures are going to plunge coming up in my full forecast.
This is CoastTV News at 6.
A hands-off Rehoboth protest filled downtown Rehoboth today. Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 6. We begin tonight with that protest in Rehoboth Beach. Protests are taking place across the U.S. today, including in Rehoboth Beach, where demonstrators are joining the nationwide April 5th hands-off protest. Hundreds gathered in downtown Rehoboth Beach today to protest against the Trump administration and Elon Musk. Organizers of the nationwide protest say it's about fighting tyranny in America. And there was more protest in Delaware today at the Legislative Mall in Dover. The protest ran from 12 to 2, with speakers from various groups impacted by the challenges of the current administration. Afterwards, participants marched to show their unity in defending freedoms, rights, and the future of America. And on your screen now was the scene today in Boston. Organizers say they expected 25,000 people to turn out for the march. Crowds gathered at the bandstand on the Boston Common by 11 a.m. And from there, demonstrators marched to a City Hall plaza earlier this afternoon. New this morning, Selbyville police responded to a salon on West Church Street for a disorderly conduct incident. Selbyville police say at 10 a.m. this morning, Joshua Kazitsky approached a woman's car begging for money before verbally assaulting her and throwing food wrappers into her car. If you know where Kazitsky is or anything about this incident, you're being asked to contact police. Delaware farmers are gearing up for planting season, and that means more farming equipment is on the move from field to field. Drivers are urged to reduce speed and be cautious around tractors and other farm equipment as you travel, especially on back roads, and also allow yourself extra time before you reach your destination. Hundreds of people race for open space Saturday. The 5K and 1-mile walk raises money for the 4th Street Preserve, 39 acres of woods in downtown Lewis. CoastTV was a sponsor, and our own Madeline Overturf was the MC of the event, and Petey the Peacock was out there too. The Open Space Alliance says it still needs $1.6 million of its $8 million goal to buy the parcel, which is more meaningful than money can buy. Jim Ford is the chairperson for the Open Alliance and says getting funds to buy those 39 acres of woods is key for preservation of the land.
There's a general sentiment around the area about the development that's taken place and the pace of the development and the imbalance that's occurred. And it's not that we're an anti-development organization at all, but the idea of having a good balance, preserving a little bit of natural habitat, a little walking area.
The Open Space Alliance has a contract to purchase the land this September, so time is ticking to reach that $8 million goal. And we have in-depth coverage on this parcel right now at CoastTV.com. And we're going to take a live look into Milford and bring in our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobono. And Chris, the sun wasn't out much today, but it still felt great.
Yeah, especially away from the coast. We got into the mid to upper 70s. We're making a late rally here with the sun as far as we've been dealing with mostly cloudy skies throughout the area. We're at 64 right now in Milford. And away from the coast, look at this, 80 in Seaford. We're at 77 Salisbury. Much cooler at the coast with that onshore flow, 54 in Rehoboth Beach. You can see winds are out of the south, that wind coming off the ocean, keeping things pretty cool at the coast. We've also seen some fog. We're finally starting to burn off that fog in Ocean City, but we were socked in that fog for much of the day. We do have a dense marine fog advisory. That runs through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning for the Delaware coast and the back bays. Expecting fog to develop through the overnight, and that fog advisory for the south extending up through 7. You could see the warm front lifting to the north. It's going to be a pretty warm night. Can't rule out a spotty shower or storm. You could see this stationary front producing quite a bit of rainfall and severe weather outbreak over the last few days out there. But you can see we're going to be warm tomorrow. We're going to hit our highs late morning into the early afternoon, and then we're expecting rain late in the day into early Monday, and then that big cold air that's going to be moving back into the area. We've been telling you all about it here over the last few days. Winter's chill returns. We're going to talk when we could see some potential freeze warnings develop across the area. That's all coming up in my full 7-day forecast. Brandon.
Thank you, Chris. Background checks delays have stalled Delaware's recreational marijuana industry. State-issued recreational marijuana license winners who were expected to open their shops by now are stuck in limbo after the FBI rejected the state's background check proposal. House Bill 110, introduced this week, aims to clarify and clean up some language surrounding background check requirements. Lawmakers hope this legislation will resolve the issue and allow the industry to move forward and finally open up in the first state.
There's no legal avenue to buy it unless you're willing to make the drive to Maryland and New Jersey, which is exactly what Delawareans are doing. And it's benefiting the coffers of both of those states, and we're losing out.
Senator Paradis says the bill will be reviewed on the House floor next Thursday in Delaware. A man is facing felony gun and drug charges after a bust in Milton. Delaware State Police arrested Dion White of Millsboro at a home on Stockley Road. Authorities were executing a search warrant when they pulled White over for traffic violations. Troopers say a search of White and the property led them to find heroin and a handgun and suspected drug money. White now faces felony charges in Sussex County. The Millsboro bypass work moves forward, and with it, closures on Route 113 are coming. According to DelDOT crews, they will conduct nighttime closures on Route 113 beginning tomorrow on April 6th through April 11th. The agency says this is to place beams for the new bridge. From April 6th to April 9th, there will be closures on Route 113 for drivers going southbound. And then from April 9th to the 11th, there will be closures on 113 for drivers going north. DelDOT crews say work will be from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. DMV on the go is back in 3 locations. It's where you can get many DMV services just from a mobile trailer. It will be from 10 to 2 at the Dart Lewis Transit Center on Mondays, and the Milton Cheer Center on Tuesdays, and Harbor Freight Shopping Center in Seaford on Thursdays.
Well, I'll tell you, we enter the second week of April. It's going to be feeling more like February. Look at some of these high temperatures. What you don't see here is the forecasted lows Tuesday night into Wednesday. I'll detail how low we're going to fall. Plus, we'll talk about some rain that's going to be moving in tomorrow night into Monday. My full forecast is in minutes.
Jaguar and Land Rover pausing shipments into the U.S. because of the new tariffs imposed by President Trump. We have that story next.
This is Coast TV News at 6.
British car maker Jaguar and Land Rover are pausing shipments to the U.S. for a month over President Trump's tariffs. The Trump administration placed tariffs on 25% of all imported cars. The tariffs went into effect on Thursday. A spokesperson for Jaguar Land Rover called the U.S. an important market, but the automaker says it's enacting the shipment pause in April as it. They said, quote, addressing the new trading terms. According to the company, Jaguar Land Rover has over 200 dealerships in the U.S. The Senate Republicans voted to approve their sweeping budget plan in the early hours of this morning. The 51-48 vote included support from every GOP lawmaker except Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky and Senator Susan Collins of Maine, and came after the Senate considered 28 amendments to the resolution. Only one of those amendments passed. It establishes a deficit-neutral reserve fund relating to protecting Medicare and Medicaid. The resolution still has to pass in the House before committees can begin crafting the actual bills for both chambers to pass.
Well, we are looking quite warm and muggy for any brunch plans tomorrow. We should stay relatively dry. Can't rule out a straight shower, but we do have rain moving in tomorrow night into Monday. And then we take a big nosedive as far as the temperatures are concerned. Hope you didn't put away your winter coats yet. My full forecast is coming up right after the break. Well, we're rallying with some late sunshine across the area today after dealing with some overcast skies. As we take a live look into Cambridge, 75 there, still quite mild at this hour, especially away from the coast. You can see at the coast we're at 54, Rehoboth Beach, 59 in Bethany, 55 in Ocean City. We dealt with some fog for most of the day in Ocean City, but quite warm back off to the west. You can see the wind flow out of the south, gusts anywhere between about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We hit 72 today, the average 63, and the record 85 set back in 2023. So we have a warm night ahead. Temperatures are actually going to be rising through the overnight, and it's going to be turning quite muggy. We're going to be dealing with some coastal fog, and then we're going to hit our highs tomorrow, likely late morning into the midday time frame, and then temperatures are going to gradually drop as rain moves in, all associated with that cold front. And then, yes, we've been talking about it for the last few days. We are going to be dealing with some unwanted winter-like temperatures as we push into next week. We have a dense marine fog advisory up for the Delaware coast. That runs through 6 a.m. Expecting some coastal fog to develop here through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. And we have a small craft advisory up through the bay. That's up until 5 o'clock tomorrow. So you can see some clearing across the area, expecting more cloud cover to roll in. There's the warm front. That's going to be lifting off to the north. And there's the cold front. Boy, this boundary has just been nearly stationary over the past few days, producing quite an outbreak of tornadoes, excessive flooding, and all that energy is pushing east. And you could see the dynamic here, 86 in Atlanta, 47 in St. Louis as the season's battle out there out in the Midwest. Mostly cloudy skies tonight. All of us are going to stay above the 60-degree mark as far as temperatures are concerned. And you can see we hit that high just late morning, and then temperatures are going to gradually fall throughout the day, and then the rain chances are really going to ramp up Sunday night into Monday. Monday looks pretty rainy right now, and then we're looking at that rain to taper off Monday night, and then we dry out and the big cool down arrives. So there's those highs, 77 Millsboro, 75 Georgetown around 11 a.m. tomorrow. As we go into Sunday evening, I expect some rain to begin working in the area. Could see some downpours, even a rumble of thunder. Not expecting anything as far as severe weather is concerned, but you can see tomorrow night around 10 doing with some heavy rain along the coast, and that rain will continue into Monday night and Monday morning. Waking up Monday morning expecting a widespread rain, could be heavy at times, and then that rain will continue even into Monday afternoon. Could be dealing with some heavy rain at the coast, and then the temperatures are going to be dropping into Monday. As you can see further to the south from Ocean City down to Chincoteague, Princess Anne, dealing with that rain into Monday as well. So a rainy start to the week, and then that temperature plunge comes in. Could be dealing with, on average, I think about an inch, maybe as much as an inch and a half of rain, some localized areas. High pressure builds in, and yes, that cold Canadian air moves in as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. Could even be dealing with some freeze warnings. Look at that as we go into Wednesday morning. Temperatures falling as low as the upper 20s. So protect that tender vegetation if you did any planting. We do stay pretty dry throughout the week, and then we moderate back into the 60s with some rain chances Friday into Saturday.
Still to come on Coast TV News at 6, new measles vaccine rate numbers as the disease makes its way through the southwest of the U.S. The measles vaccination rate in the United States may be even lower than estimated. A new report finds nearly a third of young children did not get their first shot on schedule. In 2024, just 68.5% of children had received their first dose by the recommended age of 15 months. That's a drop from 77% in 2020, and only 80% of children had received 2 doses of the vaccine by the time they turned 6. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says at least 95% of children in kindergarten need to have 2 doses of the vaccine to help prevent outbreaks. The Trump administration is dropping a Biden-era proposal that aimed to expand Medicare and Medicaid coverage to include costly weight loss drugs. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services did not explain why it was not finalizing the proposal, but in a statement, the agency says it may consider future policy options after more review of the potential benefits and the relevant cost of the drugs. The drugs carry a list of price of more than $1,000. Coming up next on Coast TV News at 6, the U.S. job market performing better than expected. We have new numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics next. The U.S. job market did better than expected last month. On Friday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported 228,000 positions were added in March. Analysts say things could change soon, citing recent economic data that predicts layoffs and overall uncertainty could rise due to recent policy changes by the Trump administration. The unemployment rate did increase 0.1 of a point in March, rising to 4.2%. We now take a live look into Salisbury, and after the break here on Coast TV News at 6, we have a final check on your forecast. Each Friday, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. It's full of features, cool things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/signup.
Well, we have quite a warm night ahead of us. Humidity levels are actually going to be rising as well under mostly cloudy skies. Most of us not even dipping below 65. Can't rule out a spotty shower as well. You can get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Alert Weather phone. Now, we're at 77 tomorrow. Cold front comes through. Rain develops Sunday night into Monday. Monday looks like a pretty rainy day, especially the first part of the day. Could be dealing with some heavy rain at times, and then we take the plunge. 48 for a high on Tuesday. Then we dip to 28 Wednesday morning, and then we gradually begin to rise back into the 60s. We have Passover and Palm Sunday next weekend, looking like the lower 60s with a chance of showers.
Thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 6. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Be sure to join us tonight at 11. Until then, have a great night.